Fun fact: we almost had Duke Nukem in Aliens: Colonial Marines.
What? How?
He was going to be a
actually.
cameo because there was this whole big character that got cut that was supposed to be a Weyland-Yutani scientist who turned stooge for the Colonial Marines. He was actually the role that Hicks eventually got. He was going to be the inciting incident, being like, "Hey, shit's going down. Come here and check it out." And during the mission where you'd link up with him, and it's in this one early build. At first, there's just this little block with a texture for a Marine following us around as we're going through it. And it's like, okay, this is a placeholder. Then, because the game at this point didn't even have implemented subtitles, so any subtitle appears as like the objectives do in the final game. And at one point, really clear on my screen, it says, "Duke, get the door." And then I turned, and the block that has had nothing else going on this entire time stands in front of the door. There's a welding torch going down it, and suddenly Duke Nukem's head from Duke Nukem Forever is just floating there in front of it. And according to one of the people that I spoke to, I can't say who, they require anonymity, but one of the people who worked on the game was like, yeah, we were not aware of this. That was probably Gearbox doing that because they liked to do things like that. At Timegate, they had a very strict process because like Easter eggs and stuff like that is actually very legally nerve-wracking. That's why a lot of studios don't typically do a bunch of them. Because no, they would not have done that. But yeah, thankfully, we didn't have that awkwardness. That entire mission, ironically, was one of the many that got cut because Gearbox was like, in the 11th hour, it's like, hey, we got Michael Biehn, so we're gonna retcon Hicks being dead and just throw out a quarter of the game.
Yeah. Well, you know, I like Duke Nukem, but Michael Biehn is a legend. So, you know, it's hard to say no to. But when you said Duke Nukem was in it, my initial thought was, you know how they did it in Bulletstorm, where they basically just swapped out another character with him. Were there any voice lines from Johnson?
No, this is way too early for voice lines. Typically, voice lines are one of the last things you want to do. That was actually part of the problem for Dead Space 2, actually, was they had changed the ending.